think part of that process that's also important is that people they expect you to come in, go in, and get out as quickly as possible. But what they're not saying is that you have knowledge that says, I need to spend 2 hours setting this up. Whereas they think, why can't you just get in there and film it and then we can go? And they kind of go, well, yeah, but I'm going to have to spend a lot more time editing. You know, if I'd just done this with a single camera, I'd have had to do wide, might have been able to capture sound here. You might be speaking. I would have missed you because I might have been concentrating on Alan because Alan was talking, and then have to do a whip round. Then what I'd have to do is, at the end of the whole session, go to the wide and just try and get you to have a natter so I could cut that. And if you're astute, you might notice that you weren't in sync with what you were saying, which is what the news is all about. But it takes 7 times longer to edit that piece. So I could be spending 7 days, you know, editing what we've just recorded.
Actually, I like the statement you made there. So actually about the value, it's like people don't want you to be taking, as soon as you're coming in, you're nearly on their time, their budget, and you're using up too much of it. Whereas actually you're investing it properly, but they're not perceiving it as being given them any of their product they're asking for, because it seems to be set up. Whereas the win is in the end or later on, as you were saying, and it's outside of their perception of what constitutes the time spent on the product and money being spent. Whereas actually a couple of analogies that bounced into my head when you were saying that was, I remember my father telling me of a joke about Picasso in a restaurant, and the waitress recognised who it is and comes over and asks him for, will he draw some, you know, little picture on a napkin, you know, because he was there. And he humoured her. He drew a little sketch on the napkin, and she was walking off after saying thank you, and he says, well, where are you going? And she said, I said thank you and thanks again. And he says, oh, no, 10 grand. And she goes, for what? He says, it only took you a couple of seconds. He says, no, but it took 60 years of learning to get it right in that couple of seconds. Yeah. You know, so it's that time value perception of you're coming in delivering the A game for the 30 years of learning and what mistakes you're avoiding, whereas the person on this side is not valuing what it is you're actually bringing, and they're trying to relate it to the time they see you doing it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've just spent 3 hours traveling here to get here, and then we've just spent 2 hours setting up. But I had spent about 5 hours yesterday making sure the batteries were charged up, going through a whole process to make sure everything was working, testing things out, looking to see where there might be problems that might occur. Obviously, I didn't unwrap one of the microphones because it got tangled up with the other one I had. But these things, it's kind of, the one thing that gets you, just think, for goodness sake. But you're going through process and procedures. What's the process for doing this? How efficiently can I do that? And will it give me the results I want? And so the microphones are set up in a position. We've got clip mics going into now 3 separate things. Alan mentioned don't put it all into one, which I was thinking of doing. But I also wanted the backup because I thought there might be some issues by having the 2 microphones on the table to pick up. So I had different sections of sound that I could use. And the reason for that is that I have been, because it's just me that's doing it, I've had to set things up, and I've set up backups within the shooting system, because the one thing I thought had happened, like we're using these little clip mics, but they're actually for mobile phones. So they have some adapters at the end that allow you to put them into ordinary objects like cameras and other recorders. But I'm in the race to try and get something done, I didn't put the right attachment on, and I plugged it into the camera, but I'd actually got the mobile phone attachment going in, so it didn't record sound on that camera. But luckily I got backup sound elsewhere that I could use. And
well, actually the things you're talking about there are touching on what we were sort of chatting while you were setting up, is, you know, what can we, like, as a group under the banner of 52 Jokers Wild, like you have 3 jokers in the room right now going, we want to, you know, basically impart our learnings to a new audience of customers, or it might even just be tourists, of people wanting to learn about the industry or make a short film or maybe a commercial for their small business, or to empower them quickly into a minimum viable product sort of setup of experiencing, you know, like different aspects of film production. And like I'm sitting here on this side going, yes, actually, George, I want to learn the minimum. I don't necessarily want to go off and become a cameraman, you know, but I'm saying I'd love to know, I'm seeing you doing it, and I'm seeing part of the setup, and I'm realizing, like you said, I could I could have took them out of the bag. You could have been setting up one while I was setting up the other. I'm not going to break. It's actually, I think most people's perception is it's very delicate looking stuff and I might break it, therefore don't touch it. Whereas actually, if you just engage with it, treat it, with a bit of respect, set it up, then actually you can maybe learn something quite quickly about it that will empower you a little bit more.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, there's a notification bell, click on there, and we look forward to seeing you the next time. Bye for now.